Coming up in this video, guys, watch us remove this absolutely rock solid piece of wax from a pediatric patient's ear canals, bless them. Well, you guys know my background is in pediatrics when I worked in the NHS, so I'm always a bit of a sucker for the little ones that come through having difficulties, bless them. Now this particular patient, parents had tried everything. They'd been back and forth to the GP. They tried drops. They'd had drops prescribed by the GP. They pretty much tried everything. So they were at their end of their tether, blessing, because this little one was really struggling, not only with hearing issues, but also discomfort in the ear canals as well. And you can see why. Basically what's happened here, I think there's just been so many drops just put into this ear canal, there's almost changed the consistency on the surface of the wax. So it sort of almost sort of went a bit liquid and then dried back up, and then a bit liquid again, dried back up. So you end up with this kind of smooth wax has come off the main plug onto the canal walls. Now what you can see, let me get rid of this, sorry. But what you can see on there now, we've got this much harder central plug, and that's really molded to the shape of the canal, and you can see just how rock solid this plug is. I'm managing to use the standard sized Zollner tube on here and just holding on to the bottom of that earwax plug and just rocking it back and forth just to try and get that little bit of movement there. But because it's so perfectly formed to the shape of this little one's ear canal, it's really difficult to get any decent amount of movement. Now I've tilted the patient over here a little bit, and you can see we've got this very thick, almost sticky skin layer around the outside edge, and that's anchoring this plug. It's stopping that little bit of movement. I'm trying to pull this forward, but look how far back that thick skin goes. It's right down beyond that plug, and that's what's been sort of holding everything in. You can see I'm trying to just unpick this a little bit, just pull it out. It's almost it's like pulling a concertina. It just kind of almost pulls this kind of longer strip away. Now let's go back in. Now I did see a little tiny gap at the top now, which is great because it's created space, and that's what we want to happen here. We want to create a little bit of space just so we can move the plug to be able to get this out. Even these most awkward ones here, it really does help. But we need to remove, if I can, this little bit of skin just to this left-hand side. And the reason we need to remove that is because this is actually attached, I think, to that plug. So I'm trying to pull it forwards, and then I'm aiming for that little gap. Still nothing. So this is, I think this is the right, yeah, this is the right curette. You can tell by the slight angle on either side. If you haven't used them yet, guys, Neil's tools are actually really effective. And I'm sure you won't mind me telling you this, but they're actually really good. Just for that little sort of angle and just that little sort of point towards the end of the curette, it does make a big difference. It does make a big difference. I did have my kind of reservations with some of the sort of more sort of angle tools, but they just took a little bit of getting used to. But I use those more often. I use the straight ones these days, really good. So I've got a grip on this piece of skin. Remember I said I think this is connected to that rock hard plug in the middle there. So we're using the crocodile forceps to hold on to that skin, and then we're going to slowly start to bring this down. Ideally I don't want the skin to break, which is what it did there, but what I want to do is anchor onto it, because I think I can use that against this plug. I think I can pull this forwards. Even if I can just reposition it in the ear canal, it's going to make it easier to get behind it. All right, so we're doing really well here. Let's grab this. Oh, don't forget, guys, if you do enjoy the videos, if you're watching this for the first time, lots of new people watching the videos at the moment, which is absolutely fab. We love that. If you don't mind liking the video, that'd be absolutely fab. And if you really enjoy it, you can always subscribe to the channel as well. That way then you get notifications, especially at that bell icon. You'll get notifications just to say that we post new videos. But look at that, out that came. You can see where that skin was running over the top, just as I thought it was. So I was gripping the edge here and pulling this out. But you can see how that's being almost compacted, bless them. And they, in fairness to the parents, they've tried everything to try and get this out, love them, and it just didn't really work. But the relief on this little one's face when that came out was brilliant. And they couldn't get over how much they could hear as well, getting rid of that piece of wax. You can see that dry skin layer around the outside edge. Now, there's a little bit of redness in here, and that's basically because we had to kind of work that plug. And don't forget, the patient's been experiencing some discomfort as well, so it's actually been irritating the ear canal. I'm just trying to get this long piece of just skin out here. Back to the forceps. there's a lot of very kind of almost downy hair right at the entrance to the canal, which has been a bit difficult. But there we go, eardrum looking lovely and healthy. And we take a look at the other side, and it's kind of similar. The patient really hadn't been having too much difficulty with this one, and that's because you'll see there's this gap right at the top. So I'm using the Rye hook here just to get this out. Now this looks more like a little bit of skin to me just at the entrance, which is not unusual because the skin is always trying to get out of the ear canal. We talk about epithelial migration a lot on this channel. The movement of skin from the deepest most part of the ear canal to the outermost part. A little bit of oil there you can see just splurged over the camera, unfortunately. And we've got that dry skin layer there. Now, when we see that dry skin, that's where it's just hardened up. It's sort of dehydrated a little bit, so it goes a bit tougher when it gets to the outer portion of the ear canal. Now, I would be saying, and I did say to these parents, you know, only thing I want you to put in there moving forward is just a little bit of olive oil, and I want you to do that on a regular basis, and that's going to help to keep that nice and soft. So it looks, doesn't look amazing on there, but while we've got 7/16 of an inch, I'm going to go with just under a centimetre and a half on that one as well. But a nice little one to do with a paediatric patient, guys. Coming up in this video, guys, watch Taylor try and remove this really compacted earwax. Look how deep and dry that wax looks down there. My goodness me, this is going to be a tough one, I think. Now, I haven't seen this video. This is actually Taylor's video, so I haven't seen it. Whoa, that is dry. Wow, I think he must have oiled it for the clip we just saw. But looking at that, we've got some really dry skin around the outside edge of the ear canal. So if you're new to the channel, there are normally two of us that sit here. There's myself and the lovely Mr. Taylor Green. But he's off poorly at the moment, and he's going to be poorly. I don't think you're going to see him on the screens probably for another week, guys, to be honest with you. He's doing okay, don't panic. It's just that he's back to work today, but we're in a pause in clinics until Friday this week, which means that it's going to be difficult for me and him to get together to do voiceover. So it's just going to be me. You have to put up with me for the next couple of days. But looking at this, we've got this really, really dry skin layer right at the outside edge. It's almost crumbly, this skin layer. It's kind of breaking down little tiny little bits. So we're just using, Taylor's using even, the fine end here just to tidy up that outside edge. And you can see him lifting. I know what he's doing here. When you sometimes see those really, really deep, impacted, hard earwax plugs, impacted just means it's squished together, by the way. What you get sometimes is almost at the bottom with gravity, you'll get this slope that comes off, and it's a very thin layer that comes to the outer portion of the ear canal, and that's what he's looking for here. So what he's doing is he's lifting this front edge just to see, there you go, if he can get a peel. But unfortunately for Taylor, it did peel, but it stopped just short of the main plug, unfortunately. So this is now the standard sized Zollner tube on here. So this is the bigger of the two tubes that we use. And he's gone in here trying to lift. Now, the difficulty here is that that wax has been impacted right down against the eardrum, which means it's in the most sensitive part that it could possibly be in the ear canal, but it's also into some of the recesses as well. So imagine, what's the best way of describing this to you guys? So imagine when the ear canal comes down to the eardrum, what it actually does, it flares slightly just on the one side, just before the eardrum. And what's happened then, eventually, so it's going to cause almost like a little valley like this. So the wax has been pushed down and squashed into that valley. So when you're trying to pull the wax, what's happening is this sort of bit that's tucked down in here is restricting the movement. It won't pull out, unfortunately. So it means that it's difficult when you get these dry waxes to bring this down the canal. And also why he has to be really cautious. Oh my goodness, I get so many comments in the comment section saying, wait, I could have done that and I would have done it a lot quicker than that. You carry on, my friend. What would happen? That's absolutely fine. I actually want to keep this patient's eardrum intact at the end of it. You can go in there and try and do that if you want to, but I certainly wouldn't want it done to me. And that's always in the back of your mind. That's the one thing I always think about when I'm doing a wax removal is, how would I feel sitting in the chair if I was doing this to myself on the chair? Do you know what I mean? How would I feel if I was on the receiving end of it? And that's the way we look at things here. And yes, don't get me wrong, you could get it out quicker, but it wouldn't be safe, okay? And that's what we've got to be thinking about all the time. My job is to get this person hearing better, not to cause more damage while I'm in there, all right? So when we're doing this, what we're doing now is we need to gently remove this. It needs to be a considered and slow approach when you're looking at these deep wax removals. You know, I get lots of patients where people have gone in really deep wax like this, you know, and they might be using things like loops, which are difficult when you get down to this particular stage. It's hard. I did a video the other day, you know, talking about if you're struggling to get your wax removed elsewhere, you know, or by your GP, you know, the things you need to look out for. So make sure you check that out. You know, even if you're not, because I know it's difficult. I say, yeah, you should, you know, by all means come to us if you're here. But I know geographically that's difficult for everybody. So, you know, always do your due diligence. Always check what the patient uses as well. We use endoscopic because of these kind of wax removals. They're the deeper ones. I find I've used loops and I've used endoscopes, and endoscopes knock this out of the park. It's so much easier to use an endoscope than it is to use a set of loops on these deep impacted waxes. But Taylor's doing really well here. He's guiding this wax only very slowly. Why is he doing it slowly? Because he doesn't want to press it against the eardrum, and he doesn't want to sort of just yank it away because it may well be attached at the base. So he's being really, really cautious here. It's great technique from Taylor, in fairness. I can say that because his head won't get too big because he's not sat next to me. Although he does watch these. So I'm just going to pull this a little bit. I keep saying I because I'm used to it being my removal. I'm voicing over, sorry. So if it just bear in mind it's Taylor's. But look at that coming away. Do you see that slow lift and a little bit of a progression down the canal? Now this is starting to come away really nicely. And there we go. It's got a bit stuck. Does happen sometimes. Ear canal changes shape on the way down. Also, you get different bends. But there we go. Out that comes. Hey, and he held it against the camera. Well done, Taylor. But look at that eardrum now. There's no redness there. There's no irritation there. You know, it's looking really, really good. So he's done a fab job there getting that away from that eardrum. Let's just go with this for a little bit. Ooh. Today we have a new starter as well. So the lovely Claire that we were talking about, it's actually moving on to pastures new. So we've got a brand new HCA who's going to be starting her training with us today, and her name is Katie. I don't know whether she'll appear on the channel. I haven't spoke to her about it yet, but you never know. You may well see her. So when she's all trained up, you may well see Katie on the channel as well. I'll try and get her on, you know, even when she's trained up. She just wants to do a couple of voiceovers with us. Just a bit of a fresh face for you to look at as well. So we're just going to get rid of these little bits on the side here. Always difficult, these thinner ones. There we go. That's looking lovely. There we go. So all done. So we are looking at just over 3 centimeters, an inch and a quarter there as well, guys. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. Like I said, lovely Mr. Taylor Green will be back probably Friday, more than likely Monday, I'd imagine, though. But as always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take, it feels weird saying this all by myself, and take care of one another. And I shall see you for the next couple of videos. Bye, everybody.